For years, we've been told that muscle loss is just a normal part of aging. That once you hit your 60s, weakness, balance problems, and loss of strength are simply unavoidable. But that narrative is outdated and dangerously incomplete. Here's what modern research actually shows: muscle loss doesn't happen evenly across your life. It speeds up dramatically after 60. At that point, your body becomes far less responsive to the protein you eat, even if you think you're eating enough. Scientists call this problem anabolic resistance. In simple terms, anabolic resistance means your muscles stop responding properly to food. You can eat a protein-rich breakfast, feel full, and still have your muscles receive almost nothing from it. The result? Gradual weakness, shrinking muscle fibers, slower reflexes, and a higher risk of falls. This isn't just about strength. Muscle loss is strongly linked to loss of independence. It's associated with falls, fractures, longer recovery times, and even cognitive decline. And once muscle is lost, it becomes much harder to rebuild, unless you know exactly how to trigger growth again. The good news is this: your muscles never lose the ability to grow. Even people in their 80s and 90s can rebuild muscle with the right nutritional strategy. The problem isn't age. The problem is missing the trigger. That trigger is a specific amino acid called leucine. Leucine acts like an on switch for muscle building. Without enough of it in a single meal, your body doesn't activate muscle protein synthesis, even if the total protein amount looks impressive on paper. Research shows that after 60, most people need at least 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal just to get the signal started. And here's where most breakfasts fail. Toast, cereal, oatmeal alone, fruit smoothies, even eggs, many popular breakfast foods simply don't reach that leucine threshold. So while you think you're fueling your body, your muscles are quietly being underfed. This is exactly why breakfast has become the most important meal for muscle preservation after 60. It's your first chance of the day to activate muscle building. Miss that window, and your body spends hours in a breakdown state. That's why scientists recently analyzed thousands of common breakfast foods to see which ones actually trigger muscle growth in older adults, and which ones fail completely. The results shocked researchers. Several foods long believed to be perfect protein didn't make the cut. Meanwhile, a handful of inexpensive, overlooked foods consistently activated muscle-building pathways. In this series, I'm breaking down the only breakfast foods proven to rebuild muscle after 60, starting with the ones that deliver the exact amino acids aging muscles need, without expensive supplements. And in part 2, we'll expose the popular breakfast foods that may actually be accelerating muscle loss, and what to eat instead starting tomorrow morning. Backhand index pointing right. Part 2 is where most people realize why their efforts haven't been working. Don't miss it. If you're over 60 and you've been eating what you believe is a healthy breakfast, there's a strong chance it's not helping your muscles at all, and in some cases it may be making things worse. This is where the confusion begins. For decades, breakfast advice focused on calories, cholesterol, or convenience. Cereal was heart healthy. Toast was light. Eggs were crowned the gold standard of protein. But when researchers began studying muscle response in older adults, they discovered a major flaw in this thinking. The issue isn't how much protein you eat. It's whether that protein activates muscle building. Due to anabolic resistance, aging muscles require a stronger signal to grow. If a meal doesn't reach that signal threshold, muscle protein synthesis simply doesn't turn on. Instead, your body continues breaking muscle down, especially in the morning after an overnight fast. Let's look at some common breakfast choices. Many seniors rely on oatmeal by itself, fruit, toast with jam, or cereal with milk. These meals provide energy, but very little leucine. Without leucine, muscles don't get the message to rebuild. You feel full, but your muscles remain unfed. Even eggs, which are often praised as a perfect protein, fall short for older adults. One egg contains less than half a gram of leucine. That means you need several eggs in one sitting to reach the activation threshold, something most people don't do at breakfast. Protein shakes don't always solve the problem either. Many powders are diluted with fillers, low in leucine, or poorly absorbed. And because they're marketed aggressively, people assume they must be effective, even when the science doesn't support it for seniors. This disconnect explains something many people experience but can't explain: they eat protein, but they keep getting weaker. Researchers found that meals failing to activate muscle protein synthesis don't just maintain the status quo, they allow muscle breakdown to continue unchecked. Over time, this leads to thinner legs, weaker grip strength, slower walking speed, and higher fall risk. But here's the turning point. When scientists tested breakfast foods based on leucine content, digestibility, and absorption, a clear pattern emerged. Only a small group of foods consistently flipped the muscle-building switch in older adults. And most of them weren't expensive. They weren't trendy. And they weren't heavily marketed. These foods worked because they deliver enough leucine in one serving, digest slowly enough to sustain muscle repair, reduce inflammation that interferes with muscle growth. This is why the next part matters so much. In part 3, we'll start revealing the first foods that actually meet these criteria, beginning with one item that many people already have in their refrigerator, but often use the wrong way. Backhand index pointing right. Part 3 is where real muscle rebuilding finally begins. Now that you understand why most breakfasts fail aging muscles, it's time to focus on what actually works. The foods in this next group have one thing in common: they consistently reach the leucine activation threshold that older muscles require. These aren't trendy superfoods or expensive supplements. They're simple, accessible options that scientists repeatedly found to be effective for muscle repair and strength maintenance after 60. Let's start with one that surprises people, not because it's obscure, but because it's often used incorrectly. Muscle-building food number 1, plain Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt stands apart from regular yogurt for one critical reason: concentration. During production, much of the liquid is removed, leaving behind a dense source of protein. 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt typically provides 17 to 20 grams of protein and, more importantly, around 2.5 grams of leucine. That single serving is often enough to trigger muscle protein synthesis on its own. But protein quantity isn't the only advantage here. Greek yogurt contains 2 types of protein that work together. A smaller portion is fast digesting, which quickly supplies amino acids to your muscles. The majority, however, is slow digesting protein, which releases amino acids gradually for hours. This extended release is especially valuable after 60, when muscle breakdown tends to outpace repair. That slow release means your muscles continue receiving building blocks long after breakfast is over. Greek yogurt also supports digestion, which matters more with age than most people realize. If protein isn't absorbed well, it doesn't matter how much you eat. Yogurt's natural cultures help improve nutrient absorption, making the protein you consume more usable. Muscle-building food number 2, cottage cheese. If Greek yogurt works well during the day, cottage cheese shines later, but it's still powerful at breakfast. Cottage cheese is one of the richest natural sources of slow-digesting protein available. A single cup delivers over 25 grams of protein and often exceeds the leucine threshold needed to activate muscle building. What makes it unique is how long it feeds your muscles. Studies show that the amino acids from cottage cheese can remain elevated in the bloodstream for 6 to 7 hours. That prolonged delivery helps protect muscle tissue from breakdown, especially during long gaps between meals. If texture has turned you off in the past, there's an easy fix. Cottage cheese blends smoothly into smoothies or can be mixed with fruit, cinnamon, or savory herbs to completely change the experience. At this point, we've covered 2 foods that work exceptionally well on their own. But muscle building accelerates when foods are combined strategically. In part 4, we'll look at the surprising role of fish and grains, including one breakfast option most people assume is just carbs, but research shows it amplifies muscle growth when paired correctly. Backhand index pointing right. Part 4 is where simple combinations start producing serious results. At this point, you've seen that muscle rebuilding after 60 isn't about eating more food, it's about eating the right combinations. Certain foods don't just work on their own, they dramatically improve how your body uses protein when paired correctly. This is where 2 unexpected breakfast foods enter the picture. Muscle-building food number 3, sardines. Sardines are rarely thought of as a breakfast food, but from a muscle-building perspective, they're one of the most efficient options available. A single small can provides over 20 grams of high-quality protein, easily rivaling multiple eggs. But protein is only half the story. Sardines are also loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which play a critical role in muscle health after 60. As we age, low-grade inflammation becomes more common. This inflammation interferes with muscle repair, even when protein intake is adequate. Omega-3s help calm this inflammatory environment, making muscle tissue more responsive to growth signals. Research shows that older adults with higher omega-3 intake experience better muscle strength, improved muscle quality, and greater response to resistance training. In simple terms, omega-3s help your muscles listen when protein tells them to grow. Sardines have another advantage: they're inexpensive, widely available, and low in contaminants compared to larger fish. For breakfast, they can be mashed onto toast, mixed into eggs, or paired with vegetables for a savory start to the day. Muscle-building food number 4, oatmeal. Used the right way, oatmeal is often dismissed as just carbs, but research paints a very different picture when it's used strategically. Oats contain a special type of fiber that helps regulate blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Stable blood sugar matters because insulin plays a supporting role in muscle protein synthesis. When insulin spikes and crashes, muscle-building signals weaken. On its own, oatmeal doesn't provide enough protein to trigger muscle growth. But when paired with a leucine-rich food like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, it becomes a powerful amplifier. The slow-digesting carbohydrates in oats help shuttle amino acids into muscle cells more efficiently. This combination creates a longer-lasting anabolic window, meaning your muscles stay in repair mode for more time after breakfast. This is why many successful strength-building meal plans for older adults pair slow carbs with slow protein. It's not about speed, it's about duration. A simple example. Oatmeal topped with plain Greek yogurt. Add nuts or seeds for texture. Avoid heavy added sugars. This pairing delivers steady energy, sustained protein delivery, and improved muscle response. By now, you may be noticing a theme: the most effective breakfasts are simple, affordable, and boring by marketing standards, but incredibly powerful biologically. And yet, we're about to hit a turning point. In Part 5, I'll reveal the plant-based foods that completely changed how scientists view protein quality for seniors, including one that outperformed expectations so dramatically it forced researchers to rethink everything they believed about plant proteins. Backhand index pointing right. Part 5 is where the biggest surprise of the list appears. Don't miss it. Up until recently, most muscle research focused almost entirely on animal protein. The assumption was simple: if it didn't come from meat or dairy, it probably wasn't strong enough to rebuild muscle, especially in older adults. But when scientists started testing plant-based foods under stricter conditions, something unexpected happened. A few plant foods didn't just perform well. They forced researchers to rethink what high-quality protein really means. Muscle-building food number 5, hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are one of the most misunderstood foods on the planet. Despite the name, they contain virtually no psychoactive compounds. What they do contain is one of the most balanced protein profiles found in nature. Hemp seeds provide all 9 essential amino acids, making them a complete protein, a rare trait for plant foods. But what truly sets them apart for seniors is digestibility. As we age, protein digestion becomes less efficient. Many proteins pass through the body partially unused. Hemp protein, however, is highly digestible, meaning your body can actually absorb and use most of what you eat. Just a few tablespoons added to breakfast contribute meaningful protein, healthy fats, and a blend of amino acids that support muscle repair. Hemp seeds also deliver omega fatty acids in a ratio that helps reduce inflammation, a key barrier to muscle growth after 60. They're nearly tasteless, which makes them easy to add to oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies without changing flavor. Muscle-building food number 6, tempeh. Tempeh is another plant-based food that surprised researchers, not just for muscle, but for overall health. Unlike tofu, tempeh is made from whole fermented soybeans. The fermentation process breaks down compounds that normally interfere with protein absorption. That means your body can access more of the amino acids without digestive stress. Tempeh provides a solid amount of complete protein and also supports gut health. Why does that matter? Because emerging research shows a strong link between gut health and muscle function, sometimes called the gut-muscle connection. A healthier gut improves nutrient absorption, reduces inflammation, and supports better signaling between food and muscle tissue. For breakfast, tempeh can be sliced and lightly cooked, added to vegetable scrambles, or used as a savory protein base. It's filling, versatile, and affordable. Together, hemp seeds and tempeh shattered a long-held belief: that plant proteins are automatically inferior for seniors. When chosen correctly, they can be powerful allies in muscle preservation. And yet, there are still 2 foods left, including one that stunned researchers because of its protein density per serving. In Part 6, we'll cover the final foods on the list and then simplify everything into an easy, low-cost breakfast plan you can actually follow. Backhand index pointing right. Part 6 is where it all comes together. Don't miss it. We've covered foods that rebuild muscle by hitting the leucine threshold, improving digestion, and reducing inflammation. But the final foods on this list surprised researchers more than any others, because of how much usable protein they deliver in such small amounts. Muscle-building food number 7, quinoa. Quinoa is often treated like just another grain, but nutritionally, it's in a completely different category. Unlike most grains, quinoa is a complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your muscles need to rebuild. This alone makes it valuable for seniors, but there's more. Quinoa is especially rich in lysine, an amino acid critical for tissue repair and muscle maintenance, and one that's often lacking in both plant-based and processed diets. Because quinoa digests more slowly than refined grains, it provides steady energy and supports more stable blood sugar levels. Stable blood sugar helps your body use protein more effectively and prevents the breakdown signals that interfere with muscle repair. For breakfast, quinoa can be cooked like oatmeal and paired with Greek yogurt, nuts, or fruit. It can also be prepared savory with vegetables and eggs. It's affordable, filling, and easy to batch cook for the week. Muscle-building food number 8, spirulina. This is the one that made researchers double-check their data. Spirulina, a nutrient-dense algae, contains more protein by weight than almost any whole food. But it's not just the quantity that matters. Spirulina provides all essential amino acids and is extremely easy to digest, which is critical as digestion efficiency declines with age. Even small amounts contribute meaningful protein support. More importantly, spirulina contains compounds that help reduce exercise-related muscle damage and oxidative stress, 2 factors that accelerate muscle loss in seniors. You don't need much. A small daily serving mixed into a smoothie or oatmeal is enough to provide benefits without overwhelming taste. Putting it all together, the simple approach. If this feels like a lot, here's the simplified strategy. If you only choose 3 foods to start with, make them: plain Greek yogurt, your leucine foundation hemp seeds, complete, digestible protein with anti-inflammatory fats oatmeal or quinoa, slow carbs that amplify protein use. This combination hits the muscle-building switch, sustains repair, and keeps blood sugar stable, all for a very low daily cost. The key insight from all this research is simple but powerful. After 60, protein must be distributed, not delayed. Breakfast is no longer optional. It's your first chance to tell your body to build instead of break down. You don't need supplements. You don't need extreme diets. You need the right foods, in the right combinations, at the right time. Now here's your next step. Tomorrow morning, add just one of these foods to your breakfast. Build the habit first. Results come from consistency, not perfection. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. That way, you'll never miss any future updates, tips, or powerful health insights that can keep you strong, active, and healthy for years to come. Your journey to better health starts right here. Don't miss out.